Welcome to Common Man Cocktails. I'm your host, Derek Schomer. Let's talk about rum aging. What is the age of your typical rum? First, here's a little known fact. Most light rums, they're actually aged and they're filtered to be clear. They might actually have a little bit more of a color to them, and they're made clear on purpose. So don't think of it as a vodka from an island. It all pretty much has an age to it. Whether it's aged in casks or aged in wood, it still has an age. The difference is not all aging categories are considered equal. Different islands have different rules for how they go through aging. Before we touch on that, let's consider where these are usually created, on an island with high humidity. What that really means is each rum, if it has an age of 3 years, with the humidity in the climate in those islands, that usually means your rum is 2 to 3 times older in taste than it is in actual age. So if you take a 6-year Scotch and you wanted to compare it to an equally aged rum, it would really be a 3-year-old rum. Weird, right? So a light rum product like this is typically aged 1 to 4 years. A gold is not an age statement. It's the same as saying it's just gold. Look! So, put it in the same category if it doesn't tell you any differently. It's young. The next aged category, if you want to call it aged, would be between 5 and 14 years. I've got some of those. These are a couple examples. Crucian Single Barrel Extra Aged Rum. Select rum aged 5 to 12 years, expertly blended and aged again in single barrel American oak. 5 to 12 years, there you go. Denizens Rum. It's got a big old 8 right on the side. Then you can have your longer aged rums. 15 plus years. I don't have any of those because they're friggin' expensive. How do the islands define it? Well, if you look at some of these over here, Barbados, Jamaican, and Guyana all have a minimum statement. The number on the bottle represents the youngest rum in the bottle. Let's just take an example. So we have Appleton Estate here. Nowhere does it give you the specific age, which means they don't really have a vested interest in telling you. One thing you can see is it has a VX here, or there could be VSOP, VS, XO. They don't necessarily mean anything. There is no category that says an XO has to be this old. So you really have to find the statement that says 6 years old. If this bottle said 12 years old, the minimum rum age is 12. There could be a 23 in there just to bring some nuanced medium body, heavy body flavor to it, but it might just be 5 drops to 10 drops. You don't necessarily know. But you do know that the youngest rum in there is on the bottle. Let's look at a Puerto Rican and a Venezuelan rum. Here's Puerto Rico. This is called Bacardi Superior. Maybe you've heard of it. One thing you should also notice is if it says Ron, Añejo, Ron Superior, Ron means rum. Just like R-H-U-M, the French version of rum means rum. Don't get intimidated because it's spelled funny. The number on it is the minimum age of the bottle. So if it says 5 years, you know it's been rested for at least 5 years. Doesn't necessarily mean there's 23 year, 10 year, 8 year. It means the product in here has that as its minimum amount of age. More than likely, if it was an older rum, they'll put it on the bottle because it's going to make it seem more ultra premium. Because it is. It takes longer to rest. The only rum that has a fixed level of guidelines and standards that have to be adhered to completion is a French rum from like Martinique, which is known as an Agricole rum. Clement is a good example, and it will always say Agricole on there, meaning it has adhered to the standards, and it is what you would expect from an Agricole rum. It's going to be a little bit more green, fresh, vegetal flavor, as opposed to more of the dark, sweet molasses notes that you get from a lot of the different island rums. The tricky age is always going to be the dark. This is pitch black. If you age this for 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, it probably will never reach that level of dark. That is because a lot of these are either caramel colored for either consistency or because they're using a burnt caramel as an additive or whatever, so it's giving it that rich black color. I almost look at these as more of a liqueur. Now, a growing trend, or I hope so, is products like the Mazan brand. Mazan, you'll notice their color is goldish. But the reason is they don't add any specific caramel colors, no additional sugars to it. So if you can find products that have a natural color to them, the color you're seeing is the color that came out of the cask, the barrel, or whatever it was stored in and rested in, which gives you a little bit more idea and understanding of what the age could be because it's imparted on the bottle. But because rum filters their colors to make them clear, artificially darkens their colors to make them darker, it becomes impossible to categorize things by age based on the color you see. So keep that in mind. When you're looking at a bottle, I would usually say get a new interesting bottle from a different island you've never had before. Pay no attention to the color. Pay minimum attention to the age specifically because they're going to be aged older because of the humidity on the islands anyway. So I would say select the bottle that's going to complement your cocktail rather than looking for something as old as a scotch or as young as a vodka, and stick with something on flavor more than color. And remember, the statements aged, old, gran añejo, añejo, they don't represent any specific minimum standards on almost any of the islands. Each island may have a different standard, so you might need to do a little bit of Googling if you care enough. Gold is not an age statement, in fact, so hopefully you could get something out of this to help combine your knowledge on rum selection so that you can make intelligent decisions at your next purchase. Now go buy a good rum. We're teaching you how to drink rum. And then there's column still. These are a couple examples of column still. Crucian single barrel and Maison Panama. A column still is going to be fast. It's going to deliver product quicker, more efficiently, yet it's going to probably bring a little less flavor. So in some cases,